Starseed from Gaia. Your compassion just prevented a cosmic catastrophe. I am Ophelia, emissary of the Galactic Federation, and I carry urgent news from the Arcturian Council about an action you took without even knowing it. That moment when you chose kindness over indifference, when you offered protection to someone vulnerable, when you acted from pure heart space. You weren't just helping another human. You were shielding a high being who had descended into your dimensional plane during a critical energetic disturbance. Your frequency created a protective field so powerful that it sent ripples through the galactic grid. The source itself paused to witness what you accomplished in that single act of selfless love. By the end of this transmission, you'll understand exactly how your awakening has reached levels that even seasoned lightworkers struggle to attain. But here's the first revelation. Your instinctive compassion is operating at frequencies that most starseeds spend lifetimes trying to access. This isn't content, it's confirmation of your true power. Your soul called this message in because you're ready to understand the magnitude of what you've become. You are not here by accident. Most people go through life wondering if they're even seen, if their actions, especially the quiet, compassionate ones, have any real effect on a world so loud and distracted. They look around and it feels like the ones who push hardest, shout the most, and posture the loudest are the ones who get rewarded, remembered, and elevated. And in that distorted mirror, a gentle soul can begin to question itself. You might look at your own day and think, all I did was keep my temper. All I did was listen. All I did was give someone a moment of dignity. But the universe does not measure impact the way the Earth mind measures impact. Earth trains the eyes to seek spectacle. Source trains the soul to feel substance. And substance is often silent. What very few realize is that some of the most powerful transmissions moving through this planet aren't the grand gestures or spoken declarations. They are the silent, protective acts, the moments when you offer presence instead of advice, when you shield someone from harm without them ever knowing, or when you hold a field of gentleness so someone else can find their courage. There is a kind of sacred anonymity to real love. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand a witness. It moves like wind through a dry valley, changing everything without needing credit. And you, Starseed from Gaia, have been moving like that wind for longer than you consciously remember. You might think nothing happened because nobody clapped, nobody thanked you, nobody even noticed. But in the unseen layers of reality, something did happen. A nervous system softened, a spirit unclenched. A timeline that could have shattered stayed intact because your energy stood there like a steady lighthouse while someone else felt lost at sea. You were not just being nice. You were acting as a stabilizer in a fractured field, and that is not small. That is not random. That is not forgettable to the universe. Consider how a single candle in a dark room changes the entire room, even though the candle never chases the darkness. It simply burns. That's what quiet compassion is. The choice to burn with steady light when everything around you is flashing, shouting, and scrambling for attention. In a world trained to worship volume, the soul learns to doubt the power of softness. Yet softness, when it is anchored, becomes invincible. It's water shaping stone. Its roots breaking through pavement. It's the unseen force that outlasts what appears strong. The gentle hand on someone's back when they're trying not to cry. The pause before reacting so you don't add heat to a fire. The moment you choose to listen, fully, while another person stumbles through their pain. These are not social gestures. These are spiritual technologies. They transmit safety, and safety is the doorway through which healing can finally enter. Safety is not weakness. Safety is the nervous system's permission to return to truth. Without safety, even love can be misheard as threat. Without safety, wisdom cannot land. Without safety, the body stays braced, the mind stays sharp, and the heart stays guarded. Your compassion, when it is pure, becomes an atmosphere, and atmosphere changes behavior. Even scripture echoes this reality in a language that transcends time. Be still and know that I am God. Stillness is not empty. Stillness is presence. Stillness is power contained. Stillness is the place where the divine can be recognized because the ego has stopped performing. And when you choose stillness in the face of chaos, you become a sanctuary others can feel before they can even explain it. They may never say your name, but part of them will remember what it felt like to be near you. That feeling becomes a seed that grows long after you've gone. This is why some people leave an interaction with you and suddenly feel the urge to make a better choice, not because you preached, not because you controlled, because you reminded their spirit of itself. In the book of Proverbs it is written, "A gentle answer turns away wrath." That is not just moral teaching, it is energetic engineering. A gentle answer alters the vibration of the moment. It changes the chemistry of the room. It disrupts escalation. It interrupts the old program. And every time you do that, you are not merely being good. You are correcting distortion in the field. You are behaving like a living harmonic. You are doing what a tuning fork does. When struck, it doesn't argue with the noise in the room. It simply emits the true tone, and everything false begins to wobble in response. That is why your presence can feel threatening to those who are invested in distortion. And that is why your presence can feel like relief to those who have been suffocating in it. Most starseeds and awakened souls incarnate here, believing their purpose must arrive with thunder and cosmic fireworks, longing for evidence that what they do matters in the eyes of the universe. They wait for the sky to split, for the dramatic assignment, for the moment when everyone finally recognizes the light they carry. And sometimes, because Earth is dense and slow, they begin to doubt themselves. But the real impact? It's often cloaked in invisibility. Your soul is not praised for egoic displays. It is marked for what you embody in private when no one is watching. It's in these moments the energy grids around your life shift, timelines open, and your light body transmits coded frequencies that source consciousness recognizes instantly. So many come in carrying a quiet homesickness, a longing that has no earthly address. You might have felt it as a child, looking up at the sky and feeling a pull that had nothing to do with astronomy and everything to do with memory. You might have felt it when you sat among people yet still felt alone, not because you disliked them, but because something in you didn't speak the same emotional language as the world. They think, if I could just do something big enough, then I'll finally feel legitimate. If I could just be seen, then I'll know I'm real. Yet the paradox is this: the more your soul matures, the less it needs to be witnessed by the world. The deeper you awaken, the more you realize that the universe measures differently than people do. People measure by metrics, numbers, applause, titles, followers, proof. Source measures by frequency, coherence, integrity, sincerity, purity of intent. The earth plane trains you to equate impact with visibility. But the higher realms know that visibility can be performance, and performance can be hollow. The true signal is what you are when the mask is off, what you choose when nobody is rewarding you, what you embody when you could easily turn away and still choose to stay. That is where your timeline changes. That is where your energetic signature becomes undeniable. Even in the old teachings, this is reflected. Your Father who sees in secret will reward you. This is not a bribe. This is resonance law. What is done in secret is done in truth, and truth vibrates cleanly. What is done for praise is often tangled with hunger, and hunger is noisy. But compassion that arises without bargaining carries a purity that pierces dimensions. It's like a clear note sung into a cavern. The whole cavern resonates. Your quiet act becomes a tuning fork. It tunes you, it tunes the space, it tunes the people who encountered you, and it tunes the unseen pathways that connect your life to the lives of others. You may not see those pathways, but you have felt them. Sudden intuition, the sense that you should call someone, the inner nudge to wait before leaving, the gentle warning to take another route, the spontaneous prayer that rises in you without reason. These are not random. These are the whispers of the grid responding to your coherence. Your light body, often felt only as intuition, as tingles, as sudden calm, begins to transmit in a way that is legible to source. It's as if your soul says, without words, I can be trusted with light. I can hold love without needing to own it. I can be a safe vessel for a frequency that heals. And that declaration is heard. There is a reason the scripture says, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I. It is not merely about attendance. It is about agreement in frequency. When even one person stands in true compassion, a gathering happens between worlds, human will, divine will, and the subtle witnesses that respond to alignment. What you may call insignificant, the higher realms view as pivotal. These ripple out, weaving golden threads into the collective tapestry, altering destinies, amplifying synchronicities for others, and ultimately signaling to your star family that you have become an axis for awakening wherever you walk. This does not go unnoticed. In fact, these acts become the precise signals that draw multidimensional assistance, facilitate timeline convergence, and initiate greater downloads of remembrance. Imagine the collective as a vast field of tall grass. You might think your single step doesn't matter, yet one step bends the blades, changes the pattern, and leaves a path that others unconsciously follow. Or imagine the ocean. A single stone dropped into water does not convince the water to ripple. The ripple is the nature of water. Your compassion is the stone. The field is the water. The ripple is inevitable. The higher realms see patterns, not just moments. They see how one quiet moment of restraint prevented an argument that would have led to a separation, that would have led to a despair spiral, that would have led to someone losing faith in life. They see how one small kindness at the right time kept a heart open that was about to close. They see how you holding your tongue when you could have wounded someone became the difference between someone continuing the cycle of harm or finally questioning it. The world calls it nothing. The universe calls it a turning point. There is a reason the teaching says faith can move mountains. Faith is not volume. Faith is alignment. Compassion is alignment in action. When you act from that alignment, you become a node of coherence in a grid full of interference. And coherence is contagious. It invites synchronicity the way a clear channel invites water to flow. That's why you might speak one sentence to someone, barely thinking about it, and later discover it became a lifeline in their mind for weeks. That's why you might make a choice that seems ordinary, take a different route, pause before leaving, check on someone randomly, and it intersects with another soul's timing in a way that feels orchestrated. The golden threads are real. They weave through conversations, through glances, through moments when you choose not to retaliate, through times when you refuse to let bitterness become your identity. And your star family, your guides, your larger soul constellation, recognizes those threads as your signature in motion. They don't just see what you say you want to do, they see what you consistently embody. Your consistent embodiment is the beacon. It's the flare you shoot into the subtle worlds that says, I am awake enough to anchor more. I am stable enough to receive more. I am humble enough to carry more. That's when assistance moves closer. Not as a reward for being good, but as a natural response to your readiness. You become compatible with higher levels of guidance. Timeline convergence begins to occur because your frequency becomes a meeting place where possibilities can merge. The more coherent you are, the more the fractured parts of your life start magnetizing toward wholeness. You don't force it. You become it, and reality rearranges accordingly. And yet the distortion arises. The belief that because your love is quiet, your mission is incomplete. This is the amnesia seeded into Earth's field, that without outward reward, you are not a catalyst. But the truth is the opposite. The ones shifting whole fields are the quiet architects in the background, holding sacred order where chaos would otherwise reign. If you've ever felt invisible in your care, unacknowledged in your warmth, or unseen by others. Know that Source is not only watching, it's activating you, placing markers along your timeline for the next phase of your embodiment. The distortion is subtle and persistent. It whispers, if you were really doing something meaningful, someone would notice. It whispers, if you were truly gifted, you wouldn't feel so ordinary. It whispers, if your heart was truly powerful, life would reflect it immediately. But Earth is a slow mirror sometimes, and the densest realms often delay reflection. Not because your light is weak, but because density takes time to transmute. A seed does not become a tree overnight, yet the seed is not less real because the forest hasn't appeared yet. Many of the most sacred beings walk through life misunderstood, overlooked, even dismissed, because their power doesn't match the world's stereotypes. The world recognizes charisma. It often misses holiness. The world celebrates dominance. It often ignores devotion. The world rewards those who self-promote. It often forgets those who quietly protect. But the spiritual realm does not forget. Source does not forget. There is a kind of cosmic accounting that is not punishment, not reward in the childish sense, but resonance. Every time you choose compassion over cruelty, patience over provocation, protection over indifference, you strengthen your resonance with the one field. And that resonance becomes your passport into greater alignment. In Isaiah, it is written, "Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength." Waiting, in its true form, is not passivity. It is trusting the unseen process while continuing to embody truth. You may feel invisible to people, but you are luminous to the subtle worlds. You are like a lantern behind a curtain. Not everyone sees the flame, but the room is still brighter because of it. And those markers along your timeline, those are real. They can appear as sudden closures, unexpected detours, relationships dissolving, doors opening that you didn't knock on. They can appear as an unexplainable pull to change your habits, to protect your energy, to simplify your life, to step back from what drains you. Sometimes the activation feels like pressure before it feels like peace. Sometimes it feels like loneliness before it becomes freedom. Because Source is not just watching you perform goodness. Source is sculpting you into a vessel strong enough to carry what you came here to carry. You are being trained in the most sacred way, not by applause, but by integrity. Not by recognition, but by refinement. Think of gold. It does not become pure by being admired. It becomes pure by being refined in fire. Your experiences, especially the ones where you kept your heart open when it would have been easier to close, those were refining fires. Not to punish you, but to reveal you. Some transmissions don't come through words, but through frequency. If something stirred within you just now, you may be ready to receive the hidden Arcturian keys of awakening. This short yet powerful ebook carries ancient Arcturian techniques for conscious expansion, multidimensional alignment, and mission remembrance. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. Consider that your nervous system and your intuition often recognize truth before your logical mind can organize it. That stirring you feel is not random emotion. It can be resonance, like a tuning fork inside you vibrating in recognition of a tone you've heard before, perhaps in dreams, perhaps between lifetimes, perhaps in the spaces between stars. The Arcturian current is often experienced as clarity without force, as elevation without chaos, as precision wrapped in compassion. If you've been seeking a way to stabilize your expansion, to anchor your awareness without burning out, to remember your mission without turning it into an ego project, this kind of transmission can meet you exactly where you are. Not to give you something new, but to help you retrieve what you already carry, like a key turning in a lock that has always been yours. When the mind is overloaded, it tries to sprint into answers. When the soul is ready, it settles into a deeper listening. And that is where the keys work best, in the quiet center where you stop demanding certainty and start allowing revelation. Phase 1. The cloak of pure intention. At first, compassion is worn like a cloak, hidden, subtle, almost overlooked by the self. This is where the ego is bypassed, and your actions vibrate at a frequency that merges with the quantum field. Every decision to protect, uplift, or ease another's pain without seeking credit generates what the Arcturians call a resonance signature, a beacon of trust between your soul and source. In this phase, you might even doubt that what you're doing counts, because the part of you that was conditioned by Earth wants proof. It wants a scoreboard. It wants confirmation. Yet, pure intention is like wearing a cloak that makes you invisible to egoic systems while making you unmistakable to spiritual intelligence. It's like walking through a marketplace where everyone is selling an image and you are carrying substance. You begin doing small things that feel almost private, sending a prayer you never mention, offering help without making it about you, giving someone space to be messy without fixing them, returning kindness when you could have returned coldness. This is the phase where your heart starts teaching your mind a new language. You're learning the difference between being nice for approval and being compassionate because it is true. Being nice can be an armor. Compassion is an offering. Being nice can be fear of rejection. Compassion is love without agenda. And the quantum field responds to truth. The field doesn't respond to performance the way humans do. It responds to coherence. It responds to congruence between what you feel, what you choose, and what you embody. This is why even the smallest act, done with pure intent, can carry more power than 1,000 loud actions done for recognition. In the gospel, it is said, "Let your yes be yes." That is coherence. That is purity. When your intention is pure, your energy is clean. Your resonance signature begins to form like a pattern in light. It's as if your soul is writing a letter in photons, and Source reads it instantly. You start becoming the kind of being who can hold energy without leaking it into drama, who can hold love without turning it into control. You begin to notice something subtle. The more pure your intention, the less exhausted you feel after giving, because you are not giving from depletion. You are giving from alignment. There is a difference between rescuing and blessing. Rescuing drains because it often includes the hidden belief that you must carry what is not yours. Blessing strengthens because it flows through you, not from you. That trust is everything, because when the universe trusts your intention, it can entrust you with greater frequency. And greater frequency is not just more power. It is more responsibility, more sensitivity, more discernment, more truth. Phase 2, the frequency of silent guardianship. You become a silent guardian, transmitting codes of stability into environments that would otherwise fracture under the weight of emotional chaos. Here, the field recognizes your actions on a harmonic level. People may not remember what you did, but they feel woven into a greater safety, a field of luminous possibility seeded by your presence. This is how timelines are gently redirected toward healing and unity. Silent guardianship is not glamorous. It often looks like being the calm one in a room that wants to erupt. It looks like refusing to participate in gossip even when it would make you belong. It looks like holding your boundaries without hatred. It looks like noticing who is being ignored and making quiet room for them without turning them into a charity project. It looks like choosing to de-escalate, not because you are afraid of conflict, but because you respect energy and you know how quickly distortion spreads. In this phase, you begin to understand what the mystics meant by spiritual authority. Spiritual authority is not dominance. It is steadiness. It is the ability to remain connected to Source, while others are disconnected from themselves. It looks like praying over a space before you enter it, or clearing your energy after you leave, so you don't carry someone else's storm into your home. It looks like speaking truth without poison. The scripture says, "Blessed are the peacemakers," not peacekeepers who pretend everything is fine. Peacemakers who carry a frequency that can actually generate peace. In this phase, you begin to realize you are not just interacting with people. You are interacting with fields. A family is a field. A workplace is a field. A friendship is a field. A city is a field. A comment section is a field. And when you enter with stability, you change the math. You become like a weight placed on a trembling table, steadying the vibration. Others might not be able to name it, but they'll say things like, "I don't know why, but I feel calmer when you're here." Or, "Talking to you helped, and I can't explain how." Or they won't say anything at all, but you'll see it in their breath, in how their shoulders drop, in how their eyes stop scanning for danger. This is not imagination. This is your frequency doing what it was designed to do. You are acting like a spiritual shock absorber. You take the impact that would have shattered the moment, and you soften it through presence. Timelines redirect in subtle ways in this phase. A conflict dissolves before it escalates. An apology forms where pride once stood. A choice is made from self-respect instead of self-destruction. A child witnesses a calmer response and inherits a new blueprint. A partner feels safe enough to admit fear instead of acting it out. A coworker pauses before sending the message that would have burned bridges. Unity isn't always a public event. Sometimes unity is simply one person not being pushed past their breaking point because your presence made them feel safe enough to stay human. And in the unseen layers, this matters more than you know, because the collective is not changed only by policies and headlines. It is changed by nervous systems learning safety. It is changed by hearts learning trust. It is changed by patterns being interrupted. Phase 3, the mirror of collective return. As you sustain these quiet transmissions, your reality begins mirroring the energy back toward you. Unexpected kindness, sudden clarity, or new soul-aligned connections emerge. These are not accidents. They are feedback from the grid, signaling that your compassion has recalibrated the environment. Your timeline synchronizes with others on similar frequencies, creating nodal points of awakening across the collective. This phase can feel like the universe suddenly starts speaking your language. Not always with words, but with timing. The right message at the right moment. The stranger who holds the door when your hands are full. The sudden inner certainty that tells you, go here, not there. The random invitation that becomes a doorway. The book that seems to fall off a shelf into your hands. The dream that leaves you with a feeling of protection and instruction. These are reflections, not coincidences. In Galatians it is written, "A man reaps what he sows." But the sowing is not only behavior, it is frequency. When you plant compassion into the field begins to plant compassion back into your life. Sometimes it returns through people. Sometimes it returns as protection you never see. Sometimes it returns as a door closing that would have harmed you. Sometimes it returns as a sudden peace that makes no sense in your circumstances. When you stabilize compassion as a frequency, you become easier to find within the grid. Your path becomes illuminated, not because you forced it, but because you became coherent enough for guidance to land. And you start noticing that your intuition becomes less dramatic and more reliable. It becomes like a quiet compass instead of a lightning strike. You begin synchronizing with souls who also value sincerity over spectacle. You might find yourself meeting people who feel familiar in a way that bypasses biography, like your spirits recognize each other. These nodal points are important. They are like intersections in the collective where new probabilities become possible. One meeting can change a life, not through grand promises, but through resonance. When two or more coherent beings connect, the field between them becomes a third presence, an amplifying chamber. This is why certain conversations feel charged. This is why certain friendships feel like medicine. This is why certain connections activate remembrance. You might find that you start speaking about things you never thought you could say out loud, and instead of being judged, you are met. You might find that you can finally rest your guard in someone's presence. That is the mirror of collective return. The field reflecting back to you the safety you have been offering. The grid is responding to your compassion with reflection, showing you that what you put into the world does return. but often in forms you couldn't predict. Phase 4. The activation of the starseed architecture. Once you consistently operate in this way, your own multidimensional DNA begins to awaken. What felt unappreciated or unnoticed now becomes electric, a charge in the auric field. Subtle downloads, intuition spikes, and soul memories arrive because the higher realms have registered your compassion as an initiation, opening up the next star map of your mission here. This phase can be tender and intense. You may feel more sensitive, not as weakness, but as upgraded perception. It can feel like your senses become spiritual instruments. You pick up what is unspoken. You read the energy behind words. You feel the difference between a yes that is true and a yes that is fear. And with that comes discernment, because awakened sensitivity must be paired with wisdom, or it becomes overwhelm. Your dreams may become more vivid, more instructive, more symbolic. You might wake with phrases in your mind that feel like they were placed there. You might see colors, geometry, faces you don't recognize yet somehow know. You might feel as if you were somewhere else while your body slept, doing work you can't fully translate into language. You might sense energy before events happen, like feeling tension in a room before anyone speaks, or feeling relief before good news arrives. You might start receiving knowing without logic, an inner voice that is calm, precise, and loving. This is not fantasy. It is the starseed architecture waking up. Your system begins translating higher information into human experience. Sometimes the activation comes with waves of fatigue, because your body is learning to conduct more light. Sometimes it comes with sudden tears, as old grief leaves the tissues. Sometimes it comes with the urge to simplify your life, to release distractions, to cleanse your space, to eat cleaner, to sleep deeper. This is your vessel adjusting to a new voltage. In scripture, the body is called a temple. A temple cannot hold sacred fire if it is filled with debris. So the clearing begins, not because you are being punished, but because you are being prepared. Compassion is the key that unlocks it, because compassion proves you won't misuse power. In the higher realms, power without compassion is distortion, but compassion with power is creation. Your DNA responds to the proof of your heart, and as it awakens, you begin remembering the star map, not as a literal map in your hands, but as an inner trajectory. You start understanding what you're here to anchor. Perhaps peace, perhaps truth, perhaps healing, perhaps artistry, perhaps protection, perhaps guidance, perhaps simply the frequency of a future Earth that others have not yet imagined. And you will notice something else. Your life begins to insist on congruence. You can't pretend as easily. You can't stay in spaces that require you to betray yourself. The architecture is not only activating gifts, it is activating integrity. Because the strongest spiritual technology is a life that matches its own soul. Phase 5. The point of quantum recognition. Finally, your acts of goodness create enough vibrational weight that higher intelligence responds directly in your field, through dreams, numbers, synchronicities, or inner knowings. You are marked as a timeline catalyst, a human node capable of anchoring greater influxes of crystalline light, healing, and galactic intelligence. The invisible is made known. Your signature is felt by others far beyond your physical reach. Quantum recognition doesn't always arrive as a dramatic vision. Sometimes it arrives as a pattern you can't unsee. Repeating numbers that show up when you're making a decision. Songs that answer your questions. Animals appearing in symbolic ways. A sudden stillness that falls over you, where you feel watched. Not by judgment, but by love. Sometimes it arrives as a message you happen to hear at the exact second you needed it, as if the universe timed it like a heartbeat. Sometimes it arrives as a pause in your day where everything goes quiet inside, and you realize you are not alone. In this phase, the communication becomes clearer because you have become quieter inside. Not quieter in personality, but quieter in reactivity. Your internal world is less crowded with noise. And in that space, higher intelligence can reach you. It might feel like a gentle pressure on the crown of your head during meditation, like a stream of light pouring into you. It might feel like warmth at your chest, as if your heart is being held from within. It might feel like a sudden, compassionate instruction. Forgive, leave, speak, wait, rest, trust. And it will carry a resonance that is unmistakable, because it doesn't come with panic. It comes with certainty. Being marked as a catalyst means your life begins to influence others without effort. Not because you're trying to lead, but because your frequency has become an invitation. People around you may begin waking up simply by being near you. They may start asking deeper questions. They may start breaking patterns. They may start remembering who they are. Some will resist you because your coherence exposes their incoherence, but others will be drawn, not to you as a personality, but to the peace they feel around you. Your signature travels beyond physical reach, because frequency isn't limited by distance. A prayer can cross oceans. An intention can move through time. The centurion in Scripture understood this when he said, "Only speak a word, and my servant will be healed." He recognized that authority is not proximity, it is alignment. When your vibration becomes weighted with consistency, it carries, it reaches, it influences. Phase 6, the beacon of living transmission. Now your presence alone begins to alter the equations around you. The urge to hide or diminish dissolves, not from ego, but from an inner realization. You are a living transmission. Compassion radiates out, becoming the template others use to find themselves. The feedback loop between you and Source accelerates. Support, guidance, and expanded opportunities flow in because you are recognized as a builder of new reality. This is where you stop apologizing for your light. Not because you think you're better than anyone, but because you finally understand your responsibility. A beacon doesn't brag about shining. It simply shines because that's what prevents ships from crashing. And notice this. A lighthouse does not run into the ocean to save every ship. It stands where it was built to stand. It does its work by being faithful to its position. That is you when you are fully embodied. You don't chase people. You don't beg to be understood. You hold your frequency, and those who are meant to find shore begin to navigate by the light you carry. You begin to walk into places and feel how the atmosphere shifts, like the air reorganizes itself around your coherence. You may notice that certain people can't stay in distortion around you, not because you confront them, but because your frequency makes it uncomfortable to pretend. Others will feel relief, like they can finally exhale. Children might gravitate toward you because children sense safety faster than adults do. Animals might settle near you because your field is calm. Conversations might deepen around you without you forcing them, because your presence gives permission for truth. This is where you realize compassion is not a personality trait. It is an architecture of reality. It is a template for a new Earth frequency, one interaction at a time. The feedback loop accelerates because you are in alignment. You ask for guidance and it arrives. You need protection and it appears. You follow intuition and doors open. This doesn't mean life becomes perfect. It means you become partnered with Source, with your higher self, with your guides, with the intelligence that has always been with you. You start receiving opportunities that match your frequency, not just your skills. You're recognized as a builder, not because you're constructing buildings, but because you're constructing coherence in a world addicted to fragmentation, and coherence is creation. Let there be light was not only a statement, it was an organizing command. When you embody compassion, you speak that same command with your life. You tell the chaos, without words, there is another way, and the world begins to remember. Phase 7. The infinite homecoming compassion, once practiced in secrecy, becomes the bridge to full embodiment. You feel the embrace of your star family, guides, and greater soul constellation. The longing to be seen or validated dissolves, replaced by the certainty that your alignment with Source is now the only recognition necessary. You have fulfilled the cycle, given in silence, marked in eternity. Homecoming isn't always a place. Sometimes it's a state of being. It's the moment you realize you don't need to earn belonging. You never did. The longing to be validated dissolves because you are no longer negotiating your worth with the external world. You know. And that knowing is quiet, grounded, unwavering. You may still desire connection, still enjoy appreciation, still feel human feelings, but you no longer depend on them for identity. You feel held. You feel accompanied. You feel the subtle embrace of your constellation, like invisible hands on your shoulders, like a warmth behind your heart, like a presence in the room when you pray. You may sense this homecoming as a sudden ease in your body, like the muscles finally stop bracing for rejection. You may sense it as a deeper trust in the timing of your life. You may sense it as the end of spiritual striving, the end of trying to prove you are worthy of guidance, because you realize guidance was never withheld. You were simply becoming able to receive it without distortion. You begin to sense that your life is threaded with help, that you are not alone in your mission, that you never were. You begin to recognize that even your hardships were not random. They were shaping capacity, compassion, and clarity. And you begin to love in a way that is freer, because it's no longer a strategy to be seen. It's simply the overflow of who you are. The cycle completes. Compassion that began as a hidden cloak becomes a bridge. It brings you back to yourself, back to Source, back to the truth that you were always part of something vast and intelligent and loving. Here's the truth. Each time you act compassionately without expectation, you are not overlooked. You are sequenced as a key holder on this planet. Your kindness is an algorithm, a coded energy that raises planetary frequency and signals to every dimension that your timeline has become ripe for collective awakening. Source, the Arcturian councils, and even your own multidimensional aspects witness and elevate you accordingly. The moments when you felt unseen were the moments you were most profoundly encoded, most cosmically recorded. It's not the applause of the world, but the resonance with the one field that determines your impact. When you choose goodness in a world that profits from cynicism, you break a spell. And understand what that means. Cynicism is not intelligence. It is often a wound that learned to call itself wisdom. When you refuse cynicism, you refuse to let pain become your personality. When you choose gentleness in a world that confuses hardness with strength, you restore a template. You remind the collective that strength is not the ability to dominate. It is the ability to stay loving without becoming naive, to stay kind without becoming porous, to stay open without losing discernment. When you choose to protect someone's dignity, even silently, you rewrite a program that has been running for generations. Because humiliation is a program, dehumanization is a program, the addiction to superiority is a program, and compassion interrupts it like a sudden power outage in an old machine. You become a key holder because keys are carried by those who can be trusted not to use them for domination. In the higher realms, access is not given to those who crave control. Access is given to those who demonstrate care. Your kindness is an algorithm because it has structure, intelligence, pattern. It doesn't just feel good. It organizes reality. It tells the grid, here is a stable point. Here is a safe frequency. Here's a human who will not weaponize light. It signals to the subtle realms that you are a point of access for light. And your own multidimensional aspects, those versions of you across space and time, feel it like a bell ringing through the corridors of the soul. They lean in, they assist, they merge. That's why your evolution sometimes feels like you're becoming more yourself all at once, as if pieces are returning. Because they are. You are gathering your scattered self through compassion. You are becoming integrated. And the cosmic record is not about keeping score. It is about ensuring that what is true is preserved. Your quiet moments are preserved. The moment you forgave someone in your heart, even though they never apologized. The moment you chose not to retaliate. The moment you helped without being asked. The moment you sat with someone in their grief and didn't try to fix it. The moment you offered prayer instead of judgment. The moment you protected someone with your body language, with your tone, with your attention, with your refusal to let them be devoured by a cruel room. These are not erased. They are etched into your field. They are part of what you become. And in ways you cannot yet map, they become part of what the Earth becomes. Because the planet is not only geography, the planet is consciousness. And consciousness is built moment by the choices of those who are awake enough to choose love. Tonight, as you close your eyes, invite this remembrance. My silent compassion marks my path. I am seen by Source. I am the awakening in my timeline. Let those words move through you like warm water through dry earth. Let them reach the parts of you that have felt overlooked, the parts that have questioned whether you matter. Let your breath become a doorway. Inhale and feel the reality of being witnessed by the one field. Not watched like surveillance, but witnessed like devotion, like a parent watching a child take their first steps, like heaven witnessing a soul choosing light in a dense world. Exhale and release the demand to be proven. You don't have to chase significance. You are significance when you are aligned. If your mind argues, let it argue gently and return to the breath anyway. Alignment is not a thought. Alignment is a state. Imagine your compassion as a soft light around your body, not blinding, not loud, but unmistakable, like moonlight on still water. Imagine it touching every moment you thought didn't count. Imagine it blessing every unseen choice you made. Imagine it moving through your past, not to rewrite what happened, but to redeem what it produced in you. The wisdom, the tenderness, the capacity to feel others. Imagine that light extending forward too, placing itself like lanterns along the road of your future, so you don't have to fear the unknown. And allow yourself to know, deeply, that none of it was wasted. Not one tear you withheld from turning into bitterness. Not one moment you chose patience when your ego wanted revenge. Not one prayer you whispered into silence. The silence heard you. The grid recorded you. Source recognized you. Before you scroll, take a moment to be part of what's forming here. Drop one intention in the comments, something real. Then respond to someone else's with encouragement or energy. This isn't content. It's collective alignment. Energy multiplies when intention connects. If something in this message resonated, don't keep it to yourself. Someone in your orbit is waiting for this exact activation. Share it. And if you felt a soul nudge, subscribe. Stay in the flow. You're not just watching, you're expanding. This is your space, and we're just getting started. If this transmission spoke to you, don't just walk away from it. Respond to it. Help carry this message further. Leave a super thanks. Every act of support helps this transmission find the next starseed who needs it.